welcome back to Bookmas, and I have a book haul today. Now, this is going to be a kind of collective big book haul for September, October, and November. There's way more books here than I anticipated, but yeah, this is going to be also the last big book haul of the year. If you saw yesterday's short, I will be doing 12 unwrap videos. I paid for the books, but my sister bought them and wrapped them up for me, and I don't know what they are, so that's going to be quite fun. So that is going to technically be more books I'm getting this year, but next year my book buying habits are radically going to change. I'm going on a pretty strict book buying ban, at least for the first few months of 2026. So that's for 2026. For 2025, this is a giant book haul full of quite a few books. Now, I did already film September's part as a separate video and never edited it, so I'm going to pop that in here and then come back to share with you October and November's haul. Starting with a really random one, I picked up a book called Mariana. This is by Monica Dickens, who is the granddaughter of Charles Dickens, and I bought this when I was in Bath in a place called Persephone Books. They are a bookshop, but also a distributor, book printer, and they basically concentrate a lot of the time on 20th century, mid-20th century fiction and non-fiction and poetry written mainly by women, which I thought was really cool. I will leave a link to their shop in the description because I just thought that was really cool. And most of them all have this kind of very similar grey cover, which is a dust cover, and they've got like some nice like printed design on the inside. This is a classic book, which was kind of described to me as kind of like a classic book that is somewhat Bridget Jones-esque. Whether it will be or not remains to be seen, but I was intrigued enough, and I basically asked when I was in there for a recommendation because I had like no real idea of what I wanted, but I did want to buy a book, so I really liked the idea of what they were doing, and so I really wanted to support that. So I bought this book, yeah. Which, yeah, so that's what their little imprint is. But yeah, I thought that was cool. I think they've got something like 150 titles in print. So I picked that up while I was in Bath. Then I have one book that I've picked up from a charity shop over in September, and that is Pride, Prejudice and Zombies. This is by Jane Austen as well as Seth Grahame-Smith, and this was £2 and it's in like perfect nick. It is a retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but in a zombie apocalypse setting. I like Pride and Prejudice, I like zombie stuff, so I thought I would give it a go and try for £2, why not? And then from good old TK Maxx, I went in and I found A Time of Dread by John Gwen. Now, I have books 2 and 3 in this series in this style. I know it's just recently been reprinted to kind of match the first like 4 books in its like prequel series, but since I had the other 2 in the series, I thought I'd grab this, and this was only £4, which I thought was really good. So if you're looking for these covers, TK Maxx, and you're in the UK, TK Maxx does have them because they had the whole series there. So yeah, I picked this up while I was there. Just haven't read anything by John Gwen. I literally now own every single book that he's written, and I've read nothing by him. I feel like I'm going to really like his books, which is clearly why I bought them all, but I have yet to start any of them. And then the other book I picked up in there is this gorgeous edition of Dracula. This is from a company called Page Publications, which I then tried to look up because I was like, if they've got this gorgeous one of Dracula, they probably have like a Frankenstein. And I don't actually know if they have a UK seller. I know obviously TK Maxx is like an American company, TJ Maxx in America, so maybe that's why they're in there, but I couldn't I couldn't find them on Amazon. And when I just searched them, the first website was their website, but it was their American website. They didn't seem to have like an English version of it, and this was £8, which I thought was amazing because it's like a hardback. It's bloody gorgeous. It's what I'm really interested in reading. I do have a different edition of this, which I probably will keep because I quite like it, but I thought this edition was gorgeous, especially for spooky time. The lovely foiling, the gorgeous skulls, lovely colour palette. So yeah, and I have just started reading it as well. They have the Wuthering Heights as well in this similar style. They didn't have Frankenstein. I am going to try and keep going back to see if they have the Frankenstein one because I've seen what it looks like online like this, and it's gorgeous as well. And Frankenstein I have actually read, so would like to get a gorgeous edition of it. So a new special edition book that I did know was coming out and purposely went and got is The Court of the Dead by Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro. I am nowhere near this. This is a Nico D'Angelo series. It's the sequel to Sun and Stars. I'm nowhere near this in the series. I'm only on book 2 or book 3 in the Heroes of Olympus series, and I'm reading everything in order. But this one has really nice sprayed edition edges. It's just kind of a reprint of like what is on the cover, but I have the Chalice of the Gods. They're there. They're like the latest 2 in the Percy Jackson series in this kind of style, so I really wanted to get it as well, and I just think the edges are gorgeous. So I picked this up from Waterstones. I had a voucher, a World Book voucher, so I didn't actually end up paying for it myself. I got it because through work you get sometimes bonuses, and you can cash them in for different vouchers. So World Book, I can get them in, so I always do that, and I always get books. So I picked this up with that, so it was technically free for me. So I didn't pay anything, and it's stunning. Not going to get to it anytime soon, but at least I have it now. Then I have 3 books that I got from book box subscriptions for the month. So from Fairy Loot, their YA for September was Never Ever After by Su Lin Tan. This is a stunning edition, and I've actually really been enjoying their YA editions. They are really the colours in them I really like, and I really like the naked hardcovers of them. Also, this artist is an artist that works a lot, has done a lot of stuff with Holly Black, and did her like tarot card game card thing that Holly Black released, which I actually bought. So I do have a lot of the artist, her work, and I really, really like it. But look how stunning that is. And I adore the color palette. But yeah, like, look how gorgeous that artwork is. So yeah, this one actually sounds really interesting. It is a book that is inspired by, it's a Cinderella story, but also inspired by Chinese folklore, and it sounds really interesting. So yeah, I've really been enjoying Fairy Loot's YA fantasy books. I think they are gorgeous. And then their romantasy for the month was Metal Slinger. This is by Rachel Schneider, and I believe this was originally indie printed, but I think also this one is gorgeous. I really like the artwork on the front. Good looking guy, no idea who he is, but I also really like the purples of the edges. And again, this one has a gorgeous, gorgeous naked hardcover, like stunning. So much going on, which I just really like the kind of like busyness of this. And yeah, on the back as well. And then it also obviously has end page art, which is of like the group. I'm gonna say this is our main female character, but I don't know. And I don't know much about this book. I don't really tend to, like, I'm just going in for the vibes. I'm trying to basically start spoiling myself for the books so that I can skip. So I have skipped October's books because although there was some that I was maybe slightly interested in, I'm trying to be like better about my book buying. So October's Fairy Loots I have skipped, but this is September's, so it doesn't matter. But for October, I won't be getting any Fairy Loots. Then my book combining for the month is Fevered Star. This is book 2 in this series. I have actually also just finished reading book 1 and I did really, really enjoy it. So that I'm really looking forward. I'm going to try and jump straight into this one hopefully soon, and this will actually be the first series from the Broken Binding that I've read, that I've got, which would be really nice. And it is like an adult fantasy series, and yeah, I really enjoyed the book 1. Yeah, I'm looking forward to jumping in this as well. And then the last books, there are 7 books of the last books, which are technically I had on pre-order, and I pre-ordered in January from the Broken Binding, and then kind of completely forgot that I had pre-ordered them, and then forgot to change my address. They got delivered to my flat, and thankfully my sister was able to go and break into the flat. She obviously didn't. They were left on the stairs in the like flat block, but she was able to get in and get the package for me because it was like £100 or something I think I spent on them, but it was in January, so I had completely forgot. And that is, I'm going to say, Of Blood and Fire, but it's by Ryan Cahill, and they are freaking heavy. And so it is 4 full-length novels with 3 novellas. But yeah, I've laid it out in the order I intend to read it in, which is Of Blood and Fire, and then The Fall, Of Darkness and Light, The Exile, Of War and Ruin, The Ice, and then Of the Empire and Dust. And then I think there is another novella coming out, and then another maybe novel coming out next year. But this is also a book series that I think Broken Binding are doing a actual traditionally publishing as their first foray into traditional publishing, I think. But I apparently ordered these in January, which I had forgotten about until I got like the shipped email, and then like crapped myself because I like checked the address and I was like, ew, because in January I had no idea I would be moving. So those were all of the books from September. So let's jump in with October. Now in October there was an event in my town, the Cheltenham Literature Festival, and I did go there and end up buying some books. So that's kind of where a big chunk of these books have come from. But I'll start with a few of the others first before I get to them. First up, I have 3 books that I bought at the Works. From my friend book club, she picked The Housemaid, as there is a movie coming out and she wanted to read it. I knew it was in the works and I could probably get it for for £7.50. So that is exactly what I did. I picked up The Housemaid, which I have now since read, and I quite enjoyed it. And while I was there, I knew they also had the second one, so I did pick this one up as well, which is The Housemaid's Secret. And then the third one, I just decided, let's just grab another Freida McFadden. So I picked up The Surrogate Mother. I quite like Freida McFadden as a writer. I do think you have to somewhat suspend your disbelief with some of her books. I think they're quite wild, but I find them quite easy, fun binges between other more heavy books. So I have 3 more for the collection, although one is already off the TBR. So I just grabbed those from the Works. Then I mentioned in the September portion about the Frankenstein edition from TK Maxx. I went to a Home Sense, which is another store in the UK, but it's owned by the same company as TK Maxx, and they did have the Frankenstein edition. So this one is adding on. I have actually read this already, but I really like this edition. It is a big, nice hardback. Again, it was £8, and so that's just added in to the collection. It's got a very nice inside artwork, and yeah, I have yet to watch the Netflix movie. I do intend to, because I did really enjoy Frankenstein. And then I did also pick up, while I was there, Horror Stories. This is Shocking Tales of Unspeakable Terrors. It's by a bunch of different authors, including, I think there is a short story in here from Bram Stoker, Mary Shelley, and I think Edgar Allan Poe. It's got lovely gold foiling on the edges. My intention was to try and read one a night in October for spooky season, and then I completely forgot that I was going to want to do that because it was sitting in like my haul section. So I just didn't think about it. But yeah, I will eventually get to this. But this is also just a gorgeous edition that I quite like. Then I do have 3 books that were not from the Cheltenham Literature Festival. First of all, I picked up Tears of the Wolf. This is by Elizabeth Wheatley, who is a booktuber. I assume she does TikTok. Most of her videos are short form content, and she is a self-help author. author. And this, I think the sequel for this has just recently come out. So I picked up the first book to see if I like it. It is, I believe, an adult, maybe romantasy or fantasy with a strong romance plotline. I think it is Viking inspired maybe, but yeah, I really just wanted to get it to read it, see what I thought about it, and also to support an indie author that I do quite enjoy watching her content. So I picked up Tears of the Wolf. And then I got 2 book boxes in October. I got the third and final book in Rebecca Rowan Horse's Between Earth and Sky series. This is Mirrored Heavens. And it is gorgeous, it's stunning, it is the chunkiest of the 3. Still have not read book 2, but really enjoyed book 1, so I do think I'm going to really enjoy this. And then I got the first book in Broken Binding's new sci-fi fantasy subscription series. For this year, it's been every other month, but I think in 2026 they're going to every month. And the first book was The Witcher, Crossroads of Ravens. This is by, I'm not going to say his name because I'm not even quite sure how to pronounce it, but this is a book set in the Witcher world, but they did say it could be read as a standalone. I've watched season 1 of The Witcher. I never carried on with this TV series, so I know a little bit about it. But yeah, I'm going to read it and give it a chance, and this might then be my introduction into The Witcher as a series. Then I have 7 books, all from Cheltenham Literature Festival. So first, the first 2 are actually free ones. They were just given out if I think you took a selfie with them. They're by the same author, Rich Shapiro. So there is The Hornet's Spell and Beneath, I'm not even sure what that says, but Beneath Something Wings. So yeah, these were just 2 little free ones. I went to a couple of free talks that they had there, and one of them was for this new award. It was like a new adult award, and you got a goodie bag when you went in, and you got a book in the goodie bag. So that book was Stargazer. This is by Laurie Petro. No idea what this is about. It was selected as one of Cosmopolitan's hottest new beach reads for summer 2022. Yeah, no idea, but it was free. Hopefully I like it. We'll see. One of the talks I went to, this author was there, and that is B. Fitzgerald. I picked up The End Crowns All, and I got it signed by her as well, which was really nice. This does technically say on Goodreads that it's the second, but the way that she was talking about it kind of made it sound like it was a standalone, but maybe in the same kind of world. I believe it is a sapphic retelling of like the Legend of Troy. I'm not quite sure, but it sounded really interesting. I do quite enjoy a Greek retelling, Greek reimagining, so I grabbed that, and yeah, it was really nice to get it signed as well. And then they have big Waterstone tents there, and I went in them, and I actually saw some books that I've never seen before. First of all, though, this was a complete random one that I just grabbed, which is called Master of One. I was in the YA section, and it looks like it's just gonna kind of be a queer fantasy romance. The cover intrigued me, and so yeah, I just grabbed it. I read the synopsis at the time. It sounds quite fun, and yeah, but it was mainly a cover buy, let's be honest, but I did grab that. And then a book that I have read that I've never seen at Waterstones before is Where He Can't Find You by Darcy Coates. I really enjoyed this. This is, again, a YA horror about a town that is kind of haunted by this creature. People go missing and no one ever really looks for them. This new girl comes into town and makes friends with this like young group of friends, and then one of the friends goes missing and the friends are determined to find her. I really enjoyed this story, so seeing it there, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna pick it up because it's one I probably will reread in the future, and I've come to discover I really like Darcy Coates as an author, so I want to try and collect some of her books that I have listened, because I've listened to every single book that I've read by her, so I want to try collecting some of them physically. So I grabbed this. I need to actually check out a Waterstone store to see if any of her books are in, because I've never seen them in store. So I was really happy when I saw this. And then the other book is the first book in a series, but it's a sequel series, and that is Generation 1 by Patricia Law. This is the author, or like the made-up author, of the I Am Number 4 series, which is a series I absolutely loved. It was the series that kind of got me back into reading at the end of 2022, I think it was, and have been meaning to start the spin-off series. There is also so many like short stories that I've never read for that series that I do really want to get into, so I need to do that at some point. But yeah, I haven't seen this before at a Waterstones, so seeing it in the Waterstones 10 was an automatic buy purchase. So I did grab that, and I cannot wait to carry on in this universe, in this world. So those were all the books that I got in October. So let's jump forward into talking about all the books that I got in November. So I initially went into November thinking it was going to be a very small book haul month, and I ended up with 19 books. 4 of them were gifted, 5 of them, and then like a few other books that aren't actual books. They were all from this book sale that I randomly went to, and then I got some subscription service and some others. Let's start with the others first. So a new release that came out that I was going to definitely pick up was From the World of Skander, The First Unicorn Rider. This is a prequel novel to the Skander series. It's a middle grade fantasy series that I still haven't finished, but I really, really love. And yeah, I was really surprised when I saw that she announced this, because the author announced it kind of like, I think a month or so before it was released. So it was very surprising. It's not very thick, and it's going to just, I guess, tell the first unicorn rider that goes to this island. This world is about a like little island off of England that is inhabited in the first of all by like wild unicorns, and eventually people start bonding with the unicorns, and if unicorns are hatched not bonded, they kind of end up growing a bit feral. Really enjoyed the world. A middle grade series I would really recommend. So I need to get to this at some point eventually. But yeah, this came out and I picked it up from the supermarket I worked at. It was like £7.50, so it was a steal. Then the only other random book I got, I actually went to Tewkesbury in, which is not that far from where I live, and I went to an independent bookstore there called Alison's Book of Tewkesbury, and I went and I picked up a book because I do want to try really supporting more indie books and not just shopping at like big supermarkets or Waterstones. So I was like, I'm determined to buy a book, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to get, so I ended up picking up Carrie by Stephen King. I've never read a Stephen King before. I have watched the original Carrie movie and I did quite enjoy it, so I thought this would be quite a fun one to maybe start by him. It's his first book, it's quite short, and I thought it would be a nice one to read, since I also do know the story, and it's like 50 years old now, which I think is crazy. But yeah, so I picked up that book from a little independent bookshop. Let's do the 4 gifted books. So I have 4 books that were gifted to me from my mum. These were because she does read. I think she's finding that she struggles to physically read now. She does a lot of audiobook reading, so she just gave me these. So she gave me the Baby Dragon Bakery. She has before gifted me the first book in this series as well. Still haven't read that book, so I can't get to this, but I thought, well, I'm going to eventually get to it. As well as, very similarly, Mate by Ali Hazelwood. She bought this, didn't realise she had it pre-ordered, so ended up with 2 copies, so instead of sending it back, she just gave it to me. Again, I will eventually at some point read Bride by Ali Hazelwood, and then I have Mate to go into. Then the other 2 books are books in a series of which I have actually read the first book in, and that is The Strawberry Patch Pancake House and The Gingerbread Bakery. There are 2 books in between these that I can listen to at some point on audio. I'm not necessarily desperate to have them, but I will read these at some point. I might try for next Christmas now for this one. But I relatively enjoyed the first one. It was easy, it was fun, it was an okay read. I enjoyed my time with it, so I think I will probably do the same with these books. They are just kind of like cozy romances set in a small town. So let's do the books that I got from the book sale, and then I will jump in with my special editions for the month. First of all, I did pick up some random books that aren't actually books. I picked up this colouring book, which I did not realise when I picked it up, but it's very much a Taylor Swift inspired colouring book. It does literally say on the back. I just flicked through and like looked at the artwork, and I was like, yeah, that would be something fun to colour. And then it was only when I like read the back, I was like, oh, okay, actually, I think this is a Taylor Swift inspired book. And it does say it's inspired by her music, which, yeah, fair enough. One of my little colouring doodles I've done. But yeah, that I just picked up. It was £2. So I was like, just as a mindless little thing to do occasionally. Similarly, I picked up this random book, which is a Japanese book, but it basically has like pages that you can use for scrapbooking. I am planning on doing a reading journal in 2026. So this, I thought, for £2, again, I thought this would be quite fun to have as an easy way to make backgrounds and such for my journal. And also similarly, I picked up my life tracker. This is a habit journal to help you map out and manage your life. It doesn't start till January, so I have a month still, but I liked what was included in here. And for the actual My Life one, I didn't really have any plans for spreads, so it's that it's pre-made spreads I thought was quite fun. So I'm gonna give that a try and see if I can get on with it in January. So then I picked up 5 books, and again, they were all varying from £2 to £4. So not a lot of money was spent, especially because 2 of these books are in series that I've not started, but eventually I will get to. But we'll start with the other ones first. I picked up this book called Destiny Quest Raiders. It's called Ties of Terror by Michael J. Ward. It is a choose your own adventure book, which I have read one of before. That was a Supernatural from the TV show, Supernatural one, and I actually quite enjoyed it. Basically, at the end of each section, it gives you you have to choose where do you want to go, and then it tells you what part to go to. So again, it's something that you could also read then in many different ways, and it would change the story and change the outcome. I think those are really cool. I'm trying to think in my head how you would go about it. It must take a lot of time and obviously energy to do that, but I think they're really cool. So I'm looking forward to reading it. And it kind of, it gives me D&D vibes, which I thought was very fun. For a little middle grade that I picked up is Following Frankenstein. This is by Catherine Burton. It's about a young girl whose father is obsessed with the Frankenstein's monster, and they spend so much time trying to chase it that it kind of ruins her life. And it's just kind of about them tracking down Frankenstein. It sounded quite interesting, and while I was there, they do have they had like a little middle grade section, so I was like, I at least want to grab one, and this one sounded quite fun in that element. And especially I think because the Frankenstein was on my mind recently, just of the movie and Halloween being, I was like, actually, yeah, let's read this and see what I think of it. And then I picked up Bloodguard. This is by C.C. Robinson, and I believe it's a romantasy. It reads like it's going to be a romantasy, but it's actually told from a guy's perspective, which I thought was interesting if it is going to be a romantasy. But it's basically about a guy who is a gladiator, and he thinks He is going to try and be a gladiator to save his dying sister. Ends up being that something else happens. An elven princess gets involved who he ends up maybe developing feelings for. I don't know, sounded interesting, so I thought I would pick it up. And then the two books here are books in series. They are not the first books in series, and I haven't started the series, but they are ones I intend to read. So first up we have Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This is one of the giant paperbacks. I have the first book of this series. I do intend to read it. I think the cover is absolutely stunning, so I grabbed this. This would have been £2, I think. And similar with the second one, this is going to be, it's probably going to be ages before I get to this book. However, it is a new release of last year and it was £4, and that is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. This retails over here for like £25. So the fact that I could get it for new for like it's only got a little bit of like dust covered damage, but for £4 I thought, why not? It's going to be a while before I even get to this, but I do intend to read everything Brandon Sanderson has read, and I know this series by him in particular is a massively loved one. I don't know necessarily this book, but the series as a whole is massively loved. Then we have my special editions for the month, in which there are 5. I have Do My Fairy first. I was meant to skip it. I kind of forgot to skip it, so then the books came and I hadn't looked up what the books were, and I do think I'm potentially going to cancel my subscription service soon. Just really wanted to try and cull my book buying a bit, but I got these books, so I'm going to try reading them. So first up, we have 7 Deadly Thorns by Amber Hamilton. This is really, I really like green, so this actually really, I think, is beautiful. This is the young adult book. This is the artwork on the inside. Again, it has nice gold foiling, and I really like the detail on the under the dust jacket. There's some more artwork in there for anyone interested. So then we have the adult fantasy book, which was Fallen City by Adrian Young. This is beautiful, black with gold accents. The spine's okay. I think the spines like these sometimes are a bit dark, so they're not my preference. And then it has, though, stunning artwork. It feels Roman inspired. I'm not quite sure if it is, but that's the kind of vibes it gives me. It has a lot of celestial elements by the looks of it. I also actually dropped it and ended up damaging it, which wasn't fun. That is the adult book. I've never read anything about Adrian Young before, but she is an author that I've heard about, and so I think a lot of people like her. No idea if people are liking this book though, but that was one for the adult book. And then the romantasy for the month was To Cage a Wild Bird. I actually don't think this book's coming out until next year sometime, because when I went to add it to my Goodreads, it said it's not been released yet, which was interesting. This is, again, really nice artwork on the inside. Really, really like the printed dust jacket, the printed hardcover. I think the artwork's gorgeous. So yeah, that was the adult fantasy book. So then I have my 2 from the Broken Binding. So for their new sci-fi fantasy, it is a sci-fi book, and it's All That We See or Seem. This is by Ken Liu, who I have heard really good things about. I believe he wrote the Dandelion Dynasty, if I'm correct. And I know that people really, really like that series. And he also is a translator, which is quite cool. He translated The Three Body Problem. But yeah, this is a quite gorgeous edition. I really don't read that much sci-fi. And I think the next one is also a sci-fi from this series. So I'm still on the fence of whether or not I'm going to cancel this particular subscription service. With the Broken Binding, sometimes I hesitate because they have a very popular service, and so I feel like they're going to have a big wait list to get back on if I want to. But I'm in two minds about it at the moment. But this is the edition anyway. It is pretty. So then the book series that I probably am going to continue off with Broken Binding is their series one, and so this one is the first in a new series that we're getting, and it's a duology, and that is Kings of the Wild, I'm guessing it's pronounced. This is by Nicholas Flames, and I really like this edition, especially like the original edition is quite fun, but I really like how they've done their cover for this. The spines are really cool, and the actual artwork on in the inside is really fun. It just kind of, again, looks like a kind of band of individuals that kind of are coming together and fighting. And so yeah, I thought this would be fun. So I'm getting this one, and I'll get the other one in December. But this is probably the only book service I'm going to carry on with, because it took me about 2 years to get on this subscription service. And so like, I don't want to leave it in case I want to get back on. And I really like that they do complete series. I think that's a really unique element for book boxes and something I really enjoy. This is the final book for the 3 months. So that is quite an insane amount of books that I have bought over the last 3 months. Like I said, I am really planning on getting ahead of my book buying for 2026. But saying that though, it has still been better. The unread books I have for 2025 are still less than what I had for 2024, which is crazy because I went through a binge phase in 2024, and it's kind of gone a bit better, but it's still a bit there. But yeah, regardless, these are all the books that I have for this book haul. As I mentioned, I will be having 12 days of Christmas in December, and then we'll see what the new year brings in terms of buying books. But yeah, I do not intend to do gigantic book hauls like this next year, but we'll see what actually ends up happening. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always really, really appreciate it, and I'll see you in a couple of days for more Bookmas. Bye!